What's going on, everyone? This is Raymond Roots from The Blueprint, and today we're doing another episode of Hollywood Breakdowns, and today we're going to be taking a look at Todd Phillips' version of the Joker, played by Joaquin Phoenix, and specifically today, we're going to be talking about lighting only and how lighting can be used to manipulate your story and the narrative that you're trying to tell. In this video, we're going to be talking about lighting theory. We're going to talk about what feels natural and unnatural and how you can use those tools to tell a story. I'm going to give you some practical specific examples, and then we're going to dive into the footage and look at how the light has been used to tell the character's story. And then lastly, what we're going to do is we're going to take the fundamentals that we've learned in this hopefully short episode, and we're going to apply it to see if we can recreate something that looks like the lighting setup in one of the scenes in the Joker. And as always, there's going to be spoilers in this video, so if you haven't watched the movies and you don't want to have the movies ruined for you, click away. If you don't care about it, or if you watch the movie, stay here and let's get into it. So what I want to do today is I've taken 4 different scenes from the Joker film, and I'm going to talk about why these 2 shots stand out so much from these 2 shots, and in general why these 2 shots actually stand out from the entire movie. And in order to talk about that, we're going to have to talk about lighting in general. So lighting is a way to shape someone's face. It's a way to show if someone is feeling well or unwell, and the way that we do that with lighting is picking the distance that the light is set from the subject's face, and also, maybe more importantly, the angle of the lighting. And to illustrate just how big of a difference lighting can do to your face, I've taken this shot of me with a light tube and I've just rotated light around my face just to see how the shadows are moving around and really just showing a different look to my face. Now keep in mind, this is harsh lighting without any diffusion, so the shadows are going to be more exaggerated than you would see in film. So this look right here is typically something we used to see in old horror movies. The reason why it works in a horror movie is because you want to scare the audience. You want to make it look as unpleasant as possible. Whereas if we go to this angle, which is from the side, or even going up to like a 45-degree angle, this is probably more pleasant to the eye. And we're going to be getting into why this is pleasant and why the other is unpleasant. I'm just going to let this play so you can see the shadows. Now you can see the lighting is just shaping my face. The reason why this lighting setup here is unpleasant and the one from the very top is unpleasant as well is because our brains are wired to look at light at a certain way. It's basically wired to interpret light based on what we see every single day. And what we see every single day is the light in our house, and it's the sun. And rarely do you see the sun right above our heads. It's usually at an angle, or it spends most of its time at an angle. So because of that, we are used to seeing light coming in from an angle, and that is more natural to us. That's why lighting that looks like this is more natural than lighting that looks like this. The reason why this angle is so unpleasant is because this lighting source is from a completely unnatural. Now the reason why this lighting setup is so unnatural and feels so uncomfortable and unpleasant is because the angle is something that we don't see in everyday life. We typically see, as I said before, light that comes from either the side or at around a 45-degree angle. So filmmakers and photographers, they utilize lighting in a 45-degree angle all the time. I have my key light set to a 45-degree angle as well. And the reason why is because it creates natural and nice shadows on the side of the head. Now, one of the more popular terms is Rembrandt lighting, where the light is coming from a 45-degree angle and it creates this triangle right here on the opposite side of the light. This is what people generally call pleasant lighting. I'm just going to show you more examples. The light is coming from the left side and is creating a triangular shadow on the other side, and it's coming from it's basically from the artist Rembrandt, who was a Dutch painter who was known and famous for painting with this Rembrandt lighting pattern. So now that we have the lighting theory out of the way, let's actually talk about these scenes. So I want to take a look at the scenes first so we can understand the context. The first scene here, Arthur is imagining himself being invited to the Murray talk show. And here he's acting as if he's one of the guests, and you can see he's very uncomfortable. He's very uncomfortable. doesn't know how to sit, he doesn't know how to reply, he doesn't know what to say or where to look. And in the other scene as well, he feels like an idiot and he's being bullied and ends up shooting all these people. But the similarities between these two scenes is that he's uncomfortable and it's at a place where he's probably standing out from society. Now, if we move over to this scene right here where he kills Randall, you can see that maybe for the first time he feels like he's in power. He feels not singled out. He doesn't feel weird in society. And that's the same thing here, where here he's imagining himself being in the audience of the Murray show. And we can just see the lighting here is completely different. And I'm not just saying that the lighting here is different. I'm going to show you why the lighting is different. So what they have done, the cinematographer here, is they have, let me just make it full screen. They have created something called raccoon eyes. Raccoon eyes is where you place the light from the top down. I'm going to show you in my other, from the very top and down. And what it does is it creates raccoon eyes. They create shadows around the eyes, which they call raccoon eyes. It's a very unpleasant and unnatural look. And it's something that you can use to make the character look unpleasant. And just to highlight that, I've turned down the exposure in this scene so we can actually see how dark they've made it. Because sometimes it can be difficult to interpret how lighting was done, but once you manipulate the light in the image, you can actually see it. This is what it looks like when you turn down some of the lighting. So you can see they've made raccoon eyes to make him look unpleasant and uncomfortable. That is also the case here. If we take a look, the first thing that comes underexposed is the eyes, and that's because the shadows are heavy in the eyes. They've lit him from the top. You can even see the catchlight in his eyes. It's coming from above. This is where he is uncomfortable. Now, move on over to him daydreaming. Look how long it takes before his eyes become underexposed to the point where we can call it raccoon eyes. We have to go to the point where his whole face is almost underexposed and we get a color shift. That means this has been lit properly because now he's daydreaming, imagining himself into a better time. Here, where he feels in power, for the first time, he's taken control over his life. I mean, as messed up as it was, he feels like he's taking control over his life. If we take the exposure down, look again, we can still see his eyes. We can even go further and you can see the left side of the screen loses its exposure before the eyes do. And that is because they've actually lit the scene properly to tell a story. Now, this makes so much sense when we talk about the context of the story. And remember, the key has to be to use cinematography to highlight your story. We have uncomfortable, unpleasant raccoon eyes, and here we have a different lighting. Now, this was just very quick about lighting. We're going to be talking about this shot right here. This shot is something that we're going to take some fundamentals from and we're going to recreate this shot. The scene that we're going to talk about here is where Arthur sits in a hospital and Murray plays his stand-up comedy clip and ends up making fun of him. So we can see that there are different lighting setups here. There's some colored light here, the cyan on his forehead. We have some orange on his cheek. And then we have the key light somewhere. We can see it's right in front of him. So let's just go through how you set up the lighting. We're just gonna do like a rough draft of how the lighting setup could look. So first of all, you have your subject here in the middle. And then we have a camera that's pointing towards the subject. It could be eye level, it could, depending on your story, doesn't matter. Now what we need here is we need a light. So this light, I put a grid on it, so just to minimize light spill. And then I had a orange rim light here and a cyan light here. Point here is that this light here is going to put some light on the back of my head, and this is going to do the same thing. And the key light is going to create the raccoon eyes. Now, let's just go back to our footage and let's just take a look at this. This is with the key light only. Look, I'm pointing towards the sky because the light is pointing down at me and in front of me. And what it does here is that it creates raccoon eyes. And what I did was I turned down the exposure so you can see how much it actually creates the raccoon eyes. Now, what we're going to do right now is we're going to turn on our orange light and then our cyan light. And now you actually have the fundamentals of this shot right here. You have a rim light in two different colors and you have the key light. All right, so what does this look like once we've applied the fundamentals? Well, let's just take a look. And that's it. It's a very, very simple guide on how to take fundamentals from movies from TV shows and apply them to your own craft. Now, keep in mind, this works because the story matches the lighting. And at the end of the day, as a cinematographer, you want to highlight the story with the visual means that you're using. So that's going to be it for me today. So if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Make sure you drop a comment down below if there's another movie you want me to break down. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And until next time, peace.